and that's literally it. I've counted change, and I've been twice to visit a church. I'm in West Virginia, where my mom was born, and where a lot of our family lives. My mother's family lives, and I've driven 3.5 hours to and back and forth. That's 7 hours to visit a church there. The prophet anointed me, and I couldn't wait to call and tell Kelly he anointed my brother as well. He's from Zimbabwe. He's a prophet. He's a prophet to prophets. And so I'm sharing this to say that my sister was deep. When Kelly was in high school, she told me this again recently. She and I have been sharing a lot of stories recently, and I think God was just planting some stuff for me to remember. Past couple months, we've had these 2.5 hour conversations. We just talk about stuff, jobs, and what God's done and how He's used us, and so forth, things we've learned. And she reminded me of when she went to college. My junior year in high school, so Kelly probably would have been in 9th grade, I'm thinking. Tony or Courtney, correct me, but my junior year, we had a family reunion on my dad's side in California, so we drove out. Parents weren't wealthy, and so we never flew anywhere. We drove, used that experience to see the Grand Canyon, all kinds of things. But on the way back, we stopped through Albuquerque, New Mexico. Kelly said, I'm going to school in Albuquerque. So Tony went to a small college in West Virginia, beautiful private college, West Virginia Wesleyan College. I went to West Virginia University, the town where I now live, and Steve had gone to Clemson. So Kelly decided that she was going to, it was one of these state schools in Albuquerque, I can't remember which name, maybe Steve, University of Mexico. So she had applied and didn't hear anything. So she told my dad, time was ticking, she told my dad, Dad, give me enough money to stay in a hotel for a week. I don't know if it's 300, for some reason that's sticking in my head. I'm sure back then it was probably 300, but give me enough money to stay in a hotel for a week, and if nothing happens, I'll come back. My mom said no. Mom was kind of a panic. I always say mom was kind of, you had to smack and say, Mom, sit down, we got this. You know, it's kind of people that panic and get anxious, but Dad was really calm. And Kelly said Dad took 3 or 4 steps away, turned around and looked at me, and thought for a minute, and said, okay, we'll do it. So they gave her money. She went out there just out of high school by herself, lived in a hotel, and I'm saying this because this is faith at 18, and she had it before that. She goes out there, tries to contact the first school she was applying. She wasn't hearing anything. A few days had gone by. She contacts University of Mexico, where she ultimately graduated. They got her a financial aid package, got her a job in the financial aid office, and she got into school. So you young people and you older people here, what I learned a few years ago when I really started living out my faith is one day I gave away my car, and I had to get to work, didn't have a car. So I said, okay, Lord, you say walk by faith. So I start walking in a direction and end up meeting somebody that gave me a ride to work, was still on time. And I had 45 minutes, an hour to get to work. The next time I missed the bus, I have a car now. My family blessed me with one. But the next time I start walking the same direction, I didn't know what God was going to do. I didn't want to limit him. But he told me to go to a pastor's house that lived near there. And so I'm like, Lord, it's early in the morning. His wife opens the door like, hey, Kim, how you doing? So I knew she was up. Like they were waiting on me. Got to work. This is about Kelly, not about me. But I'm just saying, Kelly had bold faith. And she and I recently were talking about trying to minister together. I mean, so this is very heartbreaking to know. I mean, from the earthly standpoint, I know God knows that we're supposed to love. And I say, when you love hard, you hurt. And you should hurt. This is somebody who, you know, you love, you care about here on earth. And God's taken her home. So, of course, I'm going to miss her. You know, I don't have a sister anymore. I have brothers, and that's fine. But it's not the same as having a female sister. We're different than guys. Guys know we're different than them. You know, so I'm like, wow. I just want to say, I was going to read you the beginning of the last devotional she sent me that I wanted to read. Give me just a second. The last one was called One of a Kind, but it was, I was going to have to pull it up the long way because it's no longer available to come up. But the beginning of this one is dated July 25th. As you listen to birds calling to one another, Hear also my love call to you. And this is Kelly talking to us today.
Right.
I speak to you continually through sights, through sounds, thoughts, impressions, scripture. There is no limit to the variety of ways I can communicate with you. Obviously, you know this is the Holy Spirit, God talking to us. But Miss Denise here told us that when we were here Sunday at service, that she heard Kelly like telling her things to do. You know, I talked to my mom. She's been gone a couple years now. My brother said, you know, he's talked to Kelly. For those who Kelly touched, I pray that you would keep just her dedication, her perseverance, her drive. You know, Kelly wanted to go to law school.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived near the law school in the town I live in, Western University, Morgantown, West Virginia. And I went up there twice because I asked them to send her a packet. I knew she wouldn't come back to West Virginia to go, but I wanted to stir that up in her again. I, in my later years, have wanted to go to law school. And I've since learned, since I was anointed, that my call is to justice. Kelly had a call to justice. I've worked in issues with black students. I've worked at the college my brother Tony graduated from. You know, we have family, a lot of our family. My mom worked at a college for years, a lot of the family have. And I did want to say, Tony mentioned our great grandmother. She was way ahead of her time. My dad's grandmother. I had a chance, and Tony had a chance to go through her daycare center. She had a house and a daycare center right next door. And she, when I was there at age of 5, she had sometimes 40 kids. And what she did was she would charge the parents what they could afford to pay, and if they couldn't pay, she didn't charge them. So she was way ahead of her time. Kelly didn't have the chance to go, but she came back to West Virginia, lived with my grandmother, my dad's mother, and so we took care of her until she passed. But what Tony said, you know, it's just really just talking about our story. 3 of our 4 grandparents went to college and graduated. So again, we're just saying that we lived in a family that worked. We don't know not to work. I've had 3 jobs twice in my life. I admired Kelly so much because Kelly, she was way ahead of me in a lot of things she did, but she was so supportive, always encouraging. You know, she would tell you things, you know, I didn't always like what she had to say. I'd listen. If it fit, I'd take it. A lot of times I wouldn't tell her that I didn't think it was for me. But I just want to say today that I know those of you that loved her, that share her, that had time with her, that spent time with her. You have fights. My best friend and I, we've not spoken a couple times over 35 years, but we love each other. So when you keep Kelly in mind, think of the good stuff. Teach it to your young people, because young people these days, I've worked at college 10 years, like my brother. You know, young people these days, I know God has a different plan for them, but some ways they're falling aside, falling short. So I just want to thank you all for all that you've done, for all the support, for all the continued support. Support the kids here as you can, if you can. If not, pray for them. And keep us in your prayers if you would, for whatever amount of time that God, if you come to mind, just whisper a prayer. Doesn't have to be on your knees for 20 minutes or anything like that. You know, my dad calls them walking prayers. And that's kind of walking in faith. You walk and pray. You walk and pray. God directs you as you go. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the love, for the few people I've met here today. It's not going to be easy by any means. But I really appreciate all that you've done today. God bless you.